Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, fewer cars, less congestion, California's permanent delete, and the future of AI in insurance. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, this story hurts a little bit. We have covered a number of EV manufacturers that have boomed up, flamed out, reorganized, merged out of existence, or shut down. Everything from GM's trials and tribulations with AI to Faraday Future, our favorite punching bag, to Lordstown Motors, to you name it, we've covered it. But this is the first EV manufacturer we ever covered when we started out now going on 8 years ago here on the Tech Mobility Show. And it pains me to have to announce the death of Bollinger Motors. Interesting story. The original founder of Bollinger Motors was actually a fella who, Robert Bollinger, he had created a skincare company. And he sold that skincare company and took the proceeds of that money, took the proceeds of that sale to start a company. His original concept back in 2015 when he started, he wanted an all-purpose, easy to work on, easy to run EV pickup truck. Even with a pass-through where you could literally open the front of it, pass through all the way to the back of it for certain cargo. He wanted it simple, straightforward, easy to work on, the B1. In his development, he also thought that he could launch an SUV based on the same package called the B2. And for the first few years, that's what they worked on. They even ended up moving the company from upstate New York to the suburbs of Detroit, where all the technology is if you want to build something, working with suppliers and designers and mechanical engineers. Basically, the knowledge that you need if you're going to start and not reinvent the wheel. So they moved there. A few years go past, and Bollinger has a brainstorm. Bollinger thinks that, you know what? What makes better sense for us, rather than continue in this crowded part of the field, we're going to pivot to medium-duty EV trucks. Basically, we're going to develop an EV chassis with a cab that companies can add, or what they call upfit, custom applications to the back of it to be all sorts of things. And when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, except for two things. One, whether you realize it or not, the Class 4, 5, and 6 trucks, which is considered medium-duty, Class 7 and 8 are what you consider heavy duty or the over-the-road big rigs that you see. There was an increasing number of companies, many of them you've never heard of, that had the same thought and were casting their lot in developing different medium-duty EV applications. You've heard me fuss a couple weeks ago about GM's decision to stop BrightDrop. I still think it's the wrong decision. But in the case of Bollinger, they were all in. Got to the point where they needed some more money because they just didn't have enough money. And they ended up selling a part of the company to Mullins Automotive. Mullins provided the money as they attempted to get their production started. Now, like most companies that don't have physical plant, it made sense to do business originally with a contract manufacturer, a well-known, established contract manufacturer like Roush, which does this for other companies. And the dirty little secret in the automotive industry is when it comes to low-volume applications, whether they be truck applications or car applications or special little something, that they can't justify the expense on a high volume assembly line. They will go to contract manufacturers like Roush to either finish building them out or otherwise making the changes for these low volume vehicles. That makes sense. Bollinger went that direction with Mullins' money. At some point, Bollinger decides to open a plant down in Mississippi. And unfortunately, as they're going through their various gyrations, like most EV manufacturers, trying to get traction, trying to get started, they're burning cash to the point where the head of Mullins Automotive was literally putting $1 million a week into the company. And when I heard that, I got worried. I'm like, that's not sustainable. And it wasn't. At some point, they push Robert Bollinger out after he lends the company $11 million. He's no longer in charge. Mullins takes over, still writing those checks, still trying to get production, trying to scale it up. Then they make the decision that, okay, we've got our own plant, we've got this third-party plant, we don't need both, we're going to phase Rouge out and consolidate in our own factory. Again, it makes sense if you're trying to mitigate expenses and trying to narrow down and make this thing work. But with the change at heart of the industry, with them selling literally a few, what they call B4s, which is their cab chassis combination, towards the end of last year, Bollinger finally pulled the plug. And it's really too bad because they had actually sold a few of these. But like anything in the industry, like I say over and over and over, is capital intensive. Bollinger did some things right. Bollinger did some things wrong. The right thing that they did at first was try to hold on or get all the value out of the money they were investing by not building plant, by not having to build everything from scratch. Now, to their point, their whole electrical system was proprietary. Okay, I can argue either way there. Going to Rouge made sense. That way I didn't have to spend millions or billions of dollars to build a plant. I didn't have to try to hire all the engineering talent that I would need, all the manufacturing talent I would need. They already had it. But in the end, it was too little, too late. And by the end of the year, they had missed paying their employees by 2 pay periods. And they pulled the plug. And it's really, really unfortunate. Because like I said, I mourn it a little bit because this was the first company that we actually started following in this whole thing. And they do have some that they've built that hopefully they'll be able to sell. But having sold just 6 B4s, yeah, that doesn't work in anybody's language, unfortunately. But so long, Bollinger. We'll see what happens. Maybe somebody will buy the tooling. Maybe it will have a second life like Friday Future. Who knows? But right now, it's over because they just don't have a path to profitability and a scaling up, which would take many more millions of dollars to do. 1 year, the New York experiment, better known as congestion pricing. Fewer cars, less congestion. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
Now, Tom and Bob had a heavy mission taking me and Mary Jean and her big sister fishing in a Plymouth Gold Duster. Now, these vinyl seats got a leather-like feel. It's a nice soft carpet to rest your creel. White walls, wheel covers, and some special trim. This vinyl roof's the part that's best. No extra charge when you buy all the rest, and you're going to get miles and miles from a gallon of gas. Gold Duster, one of 8 great small car buys from Plymouth.
For those of you who have no idea what Plymouth is, Plymouth was the low-cost nameplate for the Chrysler Corporation. Having started in 1928, survived to 2001. They were the budget car. Basically, nowadays, Hyundais and Kias would have been Plymouths back then. And the Gold Duster was their compact car. It was considered a small car that today we would consider a mid-size car. Interesting how perspectives change. But yeah, the Plymouth Gold Duster, that was 2 years before Chrysler discontinued making the Plymouth. And it had been built by that time, by 1976, for 16 model years. It was a good car. I'd owned several. After several fits and starts, New York City implemented its controversial congestion pricing plan for Lower Manhattan last year on January 5th. While congestion pricing has been adopted with success in such places as London, Singapore, Stockholm, Milan, and Gothenburg, skeptics wondered if it would really work in the car-centric place we know as America. With Singapore being the pioneer going back to the 1970s, these schemes, at least in these other cities, reduced traffic, improved air quality, and generated revenue. So here's the big question. After all the drama that surrounded launching congestion pricing in New York City, how'd they do? This is topic A. Let me give you the raw numbers, and then we'll talk from there. This is last year. Downtown Manhattan, which is basically Lower Manhattan south of 60th Street for those of y'all that know Manhattan. 23.7 million fewer vehicles. A reduction in traffic delays by 25%, and a 22% drop in air pollution to start. That's just in Lower Manhattan, what they call the congestion relief zone. The program, which implements tolls on drivers who enter certain once often gridlock areas of Manhattan, is even having positive effects outside of the streets that are subject to the toll. Let me explain. The biggest problem people believed would happen, they were convinced that if you restricted access by pricing to Lower Manhattan, that other parts of the New York Metro, such as parts of New Jersey and, Staten Island and the South Bronx, would see an uptick in traffic as folks tried to get around it. Here's what happened, though. It never happened. As a matter of fact, they said, traffic's actually lower regionally, even beyond the congestion relief zone. So the influx of traffic that they thought would be deferred or otherwise incentivized to try to get around the congestion zone area by going through the South Bronx, parts of New Jersey and Staten Island, did not happen. As a matter of fact, if you can believe this, and I'm looking at the numbers, public transportation use increased across the board, which is exactly what they wanted. It's exactly what they wanted. Imagine stuff that actually works the way it's supposed to. And this is what the case was. Unbelievable. That 23.7 million fewer vehicles over the year, that equates to 71,000 fewer vehicles every single day. 71,000 fewer vehicles. 71,000. That's a lot of cars. Imagine the improvement in commutes. Try this. Coming into Manhattan. If you're coming through the Holland Tunnel, 36% faster. Coming through the Lincoln Tunnel, 10% faster. If you're coming across the Queensboro Bridge into Lower Manhattan, 21% faster. Williamsburg Bridge, 23% faster. On average, commuters are saving as much as 21 minutes on a one-way trip. Some bus routes in the congestion relief zone has gotten as much as 25% faster. And school buses are facing fewer delays. They're on time now 72% of the time, up from 58%. This is just in the first year, folks. All of this, just the first year. And the thing that nobody saw coming was it didn't just help Lower Manhattan, but it had an impact even outside of the congestion zone. People are driving less. And as a result, noise pollution is dropping. Air pollution is dropping. It's getting quieter. And people are getting to their destinations faster. To be honest, this is the United States' first experiment with congestion pricing. And in full disclosure, there are still lawsuits pending against the program. So far, those suits that have been brought, the courts have decided in favor of the program, not against it so far. And that's even with the federal government trying to kill it too. Courts have said, no, this is legal. This is the thing. This is okay. This is good things. So what does it take to do all this? Passenger cars with an easy pass that travel through the zone face a $9 toll during peak hours. Bear in mind, that's on top of any tolls coming through the tunnels or across the bridges. And that's from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays, and even 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends. And if you're coming in overnight, you're still paying $2.25 toll. If you're commercial traffic, you're paying a rate that's 50% higher than that. And as they said originally, the tolls are meant to reduce both traffic congestion in the city and raise funds for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the city's public transit system. I can't even emphasize, regardless of how you feel about this subject, less traffic, less noise, faster commutes, lower pollution. And not just in that area, but overall throughout the entire region, things have improved. What's not to love? And to think that $9 would do that. Now, they did warn the folks that did the study that in other congestion pricing cases like London, traffic reduction benefits don't necessarily last. In London, after an initial dip, traffic crept back up, mostly from ride-hailing drivers and delivery trucks. But New York's got a plan for that. If traffic bounces back, the program will still raise money for public transit. New York City does have a plan to escalate the tolls as well, raising them from $9 to $12 in 2028 and then to $15 in 2031. If anything, they're going to further incentivize folks to public transportation and chime shifting. That's the thing. Along with easing New York's infamous gridlock, Boston, are you paying attention? A goal of congestion pricing was to raise $15 billion for the MTA, which would go toward new subway cars, buses, and station availability. The right to be forgotten has come to America. Thank you, California. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Once upon a time, I naively wished for the ability to go to one place on the internet where I could set my preferences once regarding access to my personal privacy and information, opting in or out of various internet choices, and all of big data, in my dream, would have to respect and honor my settings. I thought that was a pipe dream. I thought that would never happen. Until now. California's recently passed a law that requires some 500 data brokers to wipe my personal information and regularly repeat those deletions in the future. What else can I say? Oh, happy day! This is topic B. We lack comprehensive regulations regarding the use of our personal data in the United States of America. We do not have a cohesive national policy that protects individuals from how big data, and to a lesser extent, any government agency, chooses to aggregate, disseminate, sell, or buy information about you. Let that sink in for a minute. It's been a pet peeve of mine since I have started this radio program. That has not changed. I thought that Europe was ahead on, they passed a law across Europe called the right to be forgotten, that you could, if you lived in Europe, go to the data broker saying, I want you to delete all my information, like I never existed. You do not have the right to use, bundle, sell, or manipulate any personal data about me. That was in Europe. California. This deletion power is only available to California residents. To that I say, boo. And data brokers don't have to comply until about September of this year. But they're telling you, if you live in California right now, it's worth signing up for. And if I had to sound like a broken record, but I will, so much of your personal information is amassed by so many companies that no individual can control the scope and potential harm. Empowering yourself against rampant data surveillance requires savvy laws. National laws, regulation, and enforcement that only governments can undertake. I doubt extremely that our government, our federal government in the United States of America, has the intestinal fortitude to look out for the individual consumer. There's no money in it for them. There's no advantage in it for them to protect you personally. And this is not a political thing. This is just a fact of life. I once read that if a service online is free to you to use, then you're the product. Because what they usually do really on the down low, very quietly, you sign up for something, they want your email address, they want your street address, they'll want other information. They'll go to Google and ask, well, okay, Google says that, this site is asking for permission for this, this, and this. Do you give it to them? And usually, because you're so keyed into what you want, you go, yes. You don't realize that you're helping them aggregate information about you that they will turn around and sell. And they're not just selling it to marketers. They're selling it to law enforcement. They're selling it to the government. That's a fact. Your data is getting sliced, diced, merged, manipulated all kinds of ways. And that's even before we talk about AI. Because you see, data brokers are the pistons of the economy built on selling your data. These companies, most of which you don't know about, compile and sell Americans' personal information for commercial or government use, largely without your knowledge or true consent. Data brokers have harvested or inferred your income, home address, social security number, names of your relatives, details of your medical ailments, the trimester of your pregnancy, all the times you braked or accelerated hard while driving, and the precise locations where you go with your phone, such as churches, political rallies, bars, and Planned Parenthood clinics if you're so inclined. All of this information. And hold it a minute. This is the legal stuff. We're not even talking about the dark web at this point. This is what they can do legally today without your consent or permission right now. Data brokers enrich a few while exposing everyone else to risk. A nationwide system where anyone can be located, profiled, or targeted with ease. But if you live in America and you got to function, data brokers are hard to avoid. Even in states where people have the legal right to demand companies stop selling or sharing their personal information, right now today, you got to file opt-out requests with hundreds of data brokers, including some you've never even heard of. You don't even know how they even fit into the scheme of things relative to you. And who's got time for all that? Two, who's got the opportunity to have a valid, complete list? And three, even if all that is true, doing it once is never enough. Because this information keeps going, they would have to review that regularly, which means you may have to go through and do it again and again and again. Nobody has time for that. The end user licensing agreement, it's called the EULA. It's that pages and pages of like 8-point type that you got to read in order to opt out, tells you what we're going to do with your data and how we're going to manipulate, and who's got time. And that's literally app by app, application by application on the internet. Today, outside of California, if you want out, you got to track all that stuff down. Now, there are a few companies that are growing. I'm thinking about one. I can't think of the name. But there are a few companies out there that will give you that opportunity, but you're going to have to pay for it. And then there's a question of how effective, how efficient are they at getting these companies to remove that information? Because remember, right now, today, in the United States, there is no federal comprehensive plan, laws, regulations, or guidelines to protect you, the consumer, across everything. And unfortunately, it is such a Herculean task in our internet-driven society today. It would take you forever. And even if you did find every single data broker that had your information and you took the time, weeks or months probably, to go through and tell them to remove it, you'd probably have to just start all over again. Because this information is not static. They're accumulating it in real time, all kinds of ways. We've talked about Flock. We've talked about various license plate readers all over the place. We've talked about Ring video, doorbell video, cell phone video, all kinds of video, a street video, where street intersections have cameras. California's onto something. And the best part about it, once this law goes into effect and you do register with the state, the companies that don't do you right face daily fines for each unfilled deletion demand. They can be fined. It won't scrub public records, though. If it's a public record, it's going to be out there. You can't do anything about that. But all this other stuff, maybe we move to California. And maybe some states catch the hint. If the feds won't, maybe some other states will pick up California's lead and adopt what they're doing. We can only hope. The insurance industry, like every other in the world, is embracing AI. How will that affect you? We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. The insurance industry thrives on massive amounts of data in order to determine risk and the resulting premiums charged to reflect that risk of damage, industry, and or loss. AI excels at crunching large amounts of data, finding trends and patterns in the large language models that it uses to evaluate decades of information. If there was ever an industry, only next to banking and finance, that would be an obvious fit for AI, insurance is it. Question is, how will it impact you? This is Topic C. Risk. It is the one word that is used almost interchangeably in the insurance industry and the banking industry. The insurance industry wants to know before they insure you or insure your house, your car, your person, what kind of risk are you? Where do you live? How do you live? If you're driving a car, how many tickets have you had in the last few years? Have you ever lost your license? Have you ever been convicted of something? Depending on the model, some of these models even estimate based on where you live in terms of state, neighborhood, and they look at like data. AI has the ability to take this information going back decades, and based on what it learns, can actually predict, what they call predictive AI, what could happen. The industry says that only a few insurers have extracted outside value from AI to gain a competitive edge. But if you look at the tea leaves and you look at the road ahead, it makes sense that insurance companies are going to have to embrace it and go further. Right now, they're using AI predominantly as public-facing in terms of answering questions, allowing folks to simplify claims, things like that. But honestly, that's the tip of the iceberg. If data is your stock and trade, if that is what you deal with, then you have to embrace it. Because again, if you're looking for trends, if you're looking for ways not to get burned, if you're trying to figure out whether or not a particular county in California is susceptible to wildfires, floods, and whatever, wouldn't you want to look at 10, 20, 30, 40 years of weather to see patterns, see which way the patterns are going? To determine, one, if you're going to continue to offer home insurance policies in that county. Two, if you do, how are you going to price them? Three, if the risk is outside of whatever parameters you set for your task of risk as an insurance company, then it may be time to get out. We've seen this happen over the last 5 or 6 years, all over the place, and not just California. And we've reported on it here, that we've seen companies look at increasing results from climate change, rivers that haven't flooded, having 200- and 300-year floods, far from the coast, cycles of dryness, fires, mudslides, floods, fires, over and over. And that no matter what citizens do in those neighborhoods to fireproof and basically fortress their homes, insurance companies going, you know what? We're out of here. We can't see a way to insure you without losing big money. Because after all, folks, whether you like it or not, insurance is a business. And honestly, we pay insurance not because we want to, but it's because that one time that we're going to need it, whether it's in your car, in your home, your personal property, that you got a claim, you're expecting them to pay the claim. That's the thing. Most states require major financial reserves for insurance companies based on their claims, based on the number of policies they write. There is a formula usually regulated at state level that requires them to have so much cash and reserves, money set aside to pay claims. If it's a publicly held insurance company, I guarantee you the pressure that they're under to right size that amount is constant. Because to that cash is maybe making some interest, but is not to the benefit of the shareholders. And the shareholders for a public insurance company are always asking that question. Do you really need all that money? Can't you return some of that? And by the same token, if you look at the flip side, if you are a customer of that insurance company, okay, you've got all these reserves, but am I paying higher claims or higher rates for premiums because you're oversized your reserve? And then there are the state regulators, particularly in Florida and California, which have had run-ins with insurance companies that underfunded their liabilities. So they were not in a position to pay the claims. One way an insurance company mitigates risk is called reinsurance. Basically, the insurance company turns around and buys an insurance policy with companies that experience in reinsurance. A smaller insurance company would buy reinsurance from a larger one to mitigate the potential of payout and to kind of balance in case that their risk, that they misjudge the risk, that the payouts and what they've set aside for claims is insufficient. The problem is, while the retail insurance company is regulated by states to have amount of reserves, the reinsurance industry is not regulated. Meaning, if you're in a reinsurance company that insures insurance company against catastrophic loss, then you're going to be way more conservative than even their legal set-asides for your customers. And in some cases, can you imagine reinsurance companies telling insurance companies, nope, your policies are too risky. We will not reinsure you at any price. Or to the point where they're saying, okay, all right, we will sell you reinsurance, but your rates are going up 50%. But guess what? The local insurance company cannot raise premiums like that necessarily unless they get state approval. And trust me, there's no state in the United States that would allow an insurance company to hike their rates by 50%. And that puts companies like Allstate, State Farm, all of those in a squeeze. AI helps them figure out whether it is a profitable business. AI helps them streamline claim service and supposedly, according to this piece, shows more empathy and reduces the time from claim to payment. But I'm telling you, it scratches the surface where insurance is going with AI. They've got to get better. And as long as climate change is a thing and we see more and more events like this, AI and their patterns are way more important. And it may mean the difference of whether or not you can buy insurance at any price for either your car, your home, or your belongings, given where you live and given what's happening. So it's a double-edged sword. Could be a blessing or a curse.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.